Hunters. Hunters are divided into different classes SSS to G class. G class hunters are basically like normal humans. And SSS class hunters are like gods. After hunters class has been decided, there was no possibility of it changing. Then we are shown that Hunter Seong Miri Nim has taken the hunter's test for 10th time in hope of increasing her class, but it was no use, she is still a B class hunters. Then a warning message popped up on her mobile saying that an A class monster has appeared in the nearby area. Then we are shown that it is a thorned bull, and people are running away from it. Then we see that our protagonist is also on the scene with a little kid. They are trying to run away from it. She appears on the scene and hits the monster with a lightning strike, and then she sees that there is no damage to the monster. Then she asks the protagonist to run away and she tries to hold it. Then she thinks of her past where someone has killed her parents and her big sister tells her not to think about revenge. Then suddenly she hears a voice in her head saying God's crushing forefinger. Then suddenly her powers increase and she kills the monster with one hit. Then our protagonist thanks her by saying Seong Miri Nim, thank you. Then she says it's fine and our protagonist leaves. After a second she thinks how he knows her name, who is he? Then suddenly remember that it was his voice that she heard in her head saying God's crushing forefinger. Then she thinks who is he?
RMC is standing on the bridge thinking that he and his nephew could have died. He says that it's all because of this phone. As he is about to throw the phone in the lake. Then we are shown a flashback, a few days earlier. RMC is working on his story in a restaurant. As he struggles to write anything, he thinks that tomorrow is the due date. Then he looks at his mobile. Then he thinks that I should clear out unused apps. Then he see an app called God Maker. He opens it and see an ant. Then some random text appears on the screen. He can't read it, so he thinks that it is a bug. Then start randomly pressing on the screen. He clicks on an ant and it dies. Then a coin popped out of the screen and hit his forehead. Then a text appears on screen saying number 1 was crushed to death. As a reward, 1 God coin was dropped. Then he thinks that he just awakened as a hunter. Then he goes for an evaluation test for his ability. After the test he is told that, congratulations, Mr. Yu Ilshan. The evaluation test shows that you have gained abilities. He gets excited and thinks that his rank is S or A. And then he is told that he is AG rank, the lowest rank. Then he gets disappointed. Then he thinks let's go home and finish the chapter before the novel manager starts harassing me. Then we are shown that he has written just 1 sentence in 5 hours. Then he gets bored and take a break to cool his head. Then suddenly an alarm started ringing on his phone. When he checks it, it is that God Maker game. Then he started killing a lot of ants. He collects hundreds of God coins. Then the next morning when he wakes up and see all the small coin have disappeared and only the big one are left. Then a message pop up saying congratulations, unknown God. You have filled the request to open the God store. Then he thinks about it a little. And then say curiosity kills the author. And press yes. Then we are shown that somewhere else some high-profile people are happy that for the first time in Korea someone to the hunter's store. The S-class creation hunter Mr. Kongwoo who unlocked the hunter's store ability. And S-rank telepathic hunters Seong minutes are here to clarify your doubts. That everybody is very happy that finally Korea has a hunter store. Then they ask the S-rank hunter to manifest the hunter's store. Then he activated his hunter's store. Then that all try see the hunter's store but that are not able to see it. Then a man speaks up and says that it is as normal for only the person who activated the hunter store to be able to see it. Then he says we'll now use the hunter Seong Mina's ability to see the hunter's store. Then we are shown that some really powerful items are available on the store. Then we are told that 1 gold coin is equal to 1,000 Korean won. Then everyone starts mumbling that how expensive the items are. Then President speaks up and says that the fate of our country depends on this. We must keep this a secret until the project is running fully, and 2S rank hunter as high bodyguards. Then we are shown that our protagonist can unlock God's store. Then a message popped up saying you need 100 gold coins to unlock the God store. So our protagonist presses yes. Then 100 gold coins disappeared. Then the god store opens, but he can't read any of items' names. But the items are way too expensive for him. He says that he only got 300 coins in a night, but items 10,000. Or 100,000. Then he scrolled down to find a cheap item. Then he sees 100 gold coins items. Then he bought it. Then popped up saying you've purchased blind god's eye. Then our protagonist screams, my eyes. I can't see. I didn't just become blind, did I? Where did my phone go? Then he hit his foot with table. Then he suddenly starts to see again. Then he get relief and says, that scared me. He is able to read the text. Then he says that what grande name they have. He sees that the most expensive item is 1,000 trillions. Then he tried to find that is there anything else he can buy. Then he sees an item called God's crushing forefinger. Then he buy it, because it is the only item he can afford. Then he tries to turn off his air conditioner with his God's crushing forefinger. Then he turned on his TV with his ability. Then he thinks that this ability is some kind of remote control. That the protagonist tries to write his novel with his God's crushing forefinger ability. But he can't write it. Then suddenly his phone started ringing. It was his director's call. Then his director started shouting saying that the novel you sent it is seriously fun. Protagonist thinks that he only wrote about him killing ants in this stupid game. Then his director says that there is only one problem. The protagonist asks him what the problem is, I'll immediately fix it. Then his director says that the problem is next chapter when it is coming. Then protagonist asks him for 2 days to complete the next chapter. Then the protagonist says that killing these ants creates great content. Then he started killing a lot of ants. After a while he picks up a 100 gold coin. And says that I am a long way off from buying items. Even the cheapest item's price is 1,000 gold coins. The item is growth God's blessing lowest class God. The word growth makes my heart beat really fast. Right, I'll collect 1,000 coins quickly and buy this. Then a red ant appears on the screen. He tries to kill it, but the red ant doge attacks. Then he thinks that, is it a boss? He gets frustrated and angry. He started attacking it but ant doges it again and again. He tried to kill the boss for a while but he was not able to kill the boss. So, he started killing other ants first. Then a message popped up saying the karma value of a god of unknown god has surpassed 800. Then another message popped up saying, 200 karma left until you can obtain the title of evil god, who strives for power and aggression. You can earn a reward once you obtain the title. Then he gets tired and falls asleep. Then a warning message popped up saying, the god of an unknown name is chasing after the unacquired sacrifice boss. Then we are shown that our protagonist is sitting in the theater. Then a movie starts, in which someone is walking thinking that, is this the power of Black Tribe's god? He tried to kill me by sacrificing his own followers. I have to let my companions know. Reaches the cave. He coughs out blood in front of the cave. Then we see that an army of red ants is eating body parts of black ants. Then the boss red ant informed other red ants that, I figured out where our food, Black Tribe, has escaped to. But they were all annihilated by the god of Black Tribe. It was a monstrous beast I barely managed to escape. We must do something before that monster strikes again. Then everyone in the red ant army started laughing at him. Then a loud sound came from behind the army saying silence everyone. Then everyone stands still. The great shaman appears saying, Sir 808 of Dawn. I sense the presence of evil being that 404 mentioned. What he is saying is the truth. Then the great shaman starts screaming saying that, this is now the territory of His Majesty the Great Emperor. Then 404 started crying while saying that you believe me, wise man. Then the great shaman casts a healing spell on 404. The great shaman asks the brave soldier 404 to lead them. I will personally subjugate this evil spirit. Then everyone in the red ant army started saying, I will help. I will help too. Death to the evil spirit. Then our protagonist wake up saying that felt real. He thinks that, did I dream about an ant, or did an ant dream about me? A message popped up on the protagonist's phone, saying 404 invaded, 808 invaded. Protagonist pick up his phone and see that the red ant is back. He gets fired up and says that, I will absolutely kill you this time. Then he sees the ant with the beard, and think that, could it be? Is that the ant with a beard that I just saw in my dream? Then a laser beam came out of the phone and hit our protagonist's forehead twice. The Red Ant army started to praise the Great Shaman. The Great Shaman turned around and said everyone run away. Then a laser beam hits the Great Shaman. Then laser beams started raining from the sky killing everyone in the Red Ant army. We see our protagonist is hitting his phone with the fists. Then he picks up his phone and start crying. Shit. My phone is completely shattered. Then a message popped up saying, congratulations, you have obtained the title of Evil God. We are shown that our protagonist is holding his broken phone in his hand while looking toward coins around him. A message popped up on the phone saying unknown God's karma has reached 1000. Congratulations. You have obtained the title of Evil God. Then he gets an ability called Brutal Slayer rank F. He sees it and says a title of passing 1000 karma. Brutal Slayer. Evil God. I'm a nice person even without law. He sees a ring in a pile of coins. Then he picks up and tries to see what this ring is about. He tries and on. He gets all healed up and all of his fatigue is gone. Another message popped up on his phone saying blind God's eye. Analyzing the ring. Successfully analyzed. He sees that the ring's name is the Ring of the Druid. The ring 808 carried around for eternity. Then he says I didn't expect things to turn out this way. Does this work for other objects too? Then he tries to analyze his TV. Analysis window says Uilson's TV. Used for 1 year. Then tries to analyze other things as well. He says should I stop? I'm feeling like I am realizing reality. Wait. With an inducible ring like this and my new analysis power, I'm only AG rank. With all this, he thinks that will never put me as AG rank if that see all this. He goes to the Center for Paranormal Phenomena. The receptionist tells him that the margin of error is less than 1%. Do you really want to get a re-evaluation? He says yes. The receptionist tells him that only the first evaluation test is covered by the country. Second test will be 1,580,000 won. Then he thinks that his highest skill will be only F rank. He says I'll come back next time. Then he sits and think there really are a lot of people. Is there anything I can write about here? He tries to use his analysis ability on people, it works out. But he can't see anyone's full name. Only their age and specialties. He sees a girl's full name. Then he goes near her and thinks curiosity killed the author. And says excuse me, aren't you thrilled right now? She turned around with angry face. Ready to punch him. Please don't think of me as a strange person. I am not some kind of weirdo. Then at the last second his phone started ringing. It was his demon sister's call. Then he runs away saying, sorry. I need to take this call. He says to his sister, where should I meet my lovely niece? His sister called him a loafer because he is unemployed and likes money. He says, am I an unemployed loafer because I like money? He started shouting saying alright, I got it, so stop it. I'm hanging up. Don't be late. After that we see our protagonist is sitting in the park with his niece. While looking at his niece, he thinks that, she's so cute. Who is it possible for my demon sister to give birth to such an angel? His niece asks him what dark history means. He uses analysis ability on his niece. It tells him that she needs ice cream. They go to an ice cream shop and buy a chocolate ice cream. He pays with coins. So, receptionist get frustrated and put so little ice cream in the cone. He see that and thinks she is giving so little. So he remembers that he has his remote control ability. They get a tall ice cream cone. Then he thinks what a peaceful day. He gets a warning notification on his phone, saying title Cruel Slaughter Rank F has been activated. Due to its activation, battle luck of unknown god has been greatly increased. He hears someone laughing and saying, "Oh, the one who walks the path of great evil, I'll devour even the trials that you're experiencing and become the true demon god." He says, "I'm done for." Then we see the same scene as before where Soang Mary Nim asks them to run and she tries to hold the thorn bull. He analyzed the thorn bull that want to obtain divinity by devouring the unknown god. We see that our protagonist is standing on a bridge thinking about what happened. He thinks of the message that popped up on his phone after the battle, which said you have overcome the trial. Cruel Slaughter rank has gone up by 1. As reward you can buy a low-level god's authority without spending a buy coins. He thinks that it's all because of this phone. As he is about to throw it away, a message popped up saying Saintess. After that we are shown that Black Ant is saying, "Oh unknown god, we beg of you, please have mercy on us. Please save our tribe." Then a red ant walks in saying, "The holy maiden of Black tribe. Did you think you could escape from Black tribe's soldiers?" Our protagonist sees that message saying that would you like to rescue the small creature, who is desperately asking to be saved by you. Then our protagonist kills the red ant and saves the holy maiden. Then our protagonist says this ant is kinda big. The holy maiden would like to know the true name of the unknown god. Then he says You Ilshan. The holy maiden worships You Ilshan. Then a message popped up saying you have obtained the title of the good god merciful redeemer. You currently possess both good and evil god titles. Due to the influence of gaining good god title, You Ilshan's tendency will now be switched from evil to neutral. As a first-time special bonus for obtaining a good god title, you will be given 100,000 gold coins. Wait a minute, that means in total, 108,700 gold coins. He opened the store and thinks about what he should buy. Then he buys the blessing of the growing god, lowest class god. It came out. He analyzed it. It said body fluid in the description, so he says that makes me not want to buy anymore. He smells it and says that it doesn't smell like anything. He drinks it and says it's just an energy drink. He angrily says that, "Isn't this a scam?" Then he sees the description and it says the more you drink the better. He says okay, I'll bite. He drinks a lot but nothing happens. Then he gets unconscious and falls down. A message popped up saying, God's assimilation rate increases 0% to 5%. You Ilson's inherent ability strengthened as much as the assimilation rate. He wakes up on his bed and says, "When did I get home?" We see a lot of ants climbing over him. He saw his phone and said swarming. He noticed the ants and tried to run. He tried to open the door but he was not able to open it. An ant bites on his foot. He sees the window of his room and starts running toward it saying this is only the 3rd floor. If I were to fall, I won't die, right? He hit his forehead with a window but he was not able to break it. He says I'm trapped. He gets angry and starts to throw his books on the ants to crush them. He killed one of the ant generals. Firing ants moves forward. They hit the protagonist with a lot of small arrows. One of the ants loudly says that how do you like that you unnamed monster? This is the power of a great empire. All troops charge. Behead this monster and present it to His Majesty, the Emperor. Then our protagonist says that he can't breathe. He sees a mosquito killing Sperry. With that he burns his whole room. We see our protagonist is sitting in the middle of the flames and thinks that, my body won't move, am I gonna die like this? The high-class evil god Soundless Nightmare has sent you a gift, You Ilson. Do you accept? He presses yes. Then a dark energy state gathered around his finger. We see that a lightning strike hit the mountains. It's Seong Miri Nim, ability. We see that she is trying to use the same power that she used to defeat the throne bull. She thinks that if she awakened that power, revenge will no longer be a dream. She sees the smoke coming from one of the buildings. Our protagonist is still in the middle of the flames. Then a message popped up saying, the ability of Yu Ilsun's inherent ability, Soundless Nightmare, is being absorbed. He tries to use God's crushing forefinger but nothing happens. He gets unconscious thinking, will I die like this? Then Seong Miri Nim appears on the scene. We see that our protagonist's niece is standing in front saying, are you really my uncle? Our protagonist's sister gets angry with him and starts hitting him. Our protagonist's niece finds a flower basket in front of the door. On the flowers basket said that wishing Yu Ilsun a speedy recovery. Our protagonist thinks that it's from his supervisor. We see Seong Miri Nim is watching our protagonist from the building in front of the hospital. She thinks that whenever that man is near me, I could wield power beyond my limits. She observed him for 4 days but she can't understand, does that man have something that allows me to surpass my limits? She says, wait, aren't I being a stalker right now? She says I should go back before I get caught for sneaking out. We see that the Great Maiden of Black Tribe is trying to give our protagonist her tribe's treasure. And the other ants are asking her to reconsider. Then a message popped up on his phone saying, the Saint and 101 blank ants are praying to Yu Ilsun. The believers want to offer a tribute to you, will you accept? He thinks that, aren't the tribute are given to really important people? So, that's me. What are they giving me? He says yes to the tribute. Then the tribute comes out of his phone. He analyzed the tribute and said that it is the fruit of the world tree. Then see that it said it might be good for stamina. He says you passed. Then electricity started coming out of his body. Then coughs and says, what kind of taste is this, salty, spicy, and even bitter? Then suddenly he feels no pain. He opened his bandages, and sees that there are no wounds on his body anymore. Seong Miri Nim was seeing him from other building, she is surprised by his recovery. And she thinks, who is this man? Then a message popped up on his phone saying, the additional function of God's blessing in God Maker has been activated. I can bestow blessings using the offerings of my believers. He says, the things that ants like. Then ants say look, something is descending from the sky. Ants eat said what a heavenly taste. All the ants healed up once they ate the snow from the skies. Then a message popped up on his phone saying, you have obtained 101 true believers. The current amount of faith is 1101. You have gained 10,100 God coins. Because of faith. Then we see our protagonist go to a shop to sell his items. When he enters the shop he says I'm here to sell my items. The receptionist says that you must be a hunter. He says that he is an awakened but he doesn't have a hunter's license. The receptionist gave him a form to fill out. He started filling out his form. Then 3 hunters enter the store. Our protagonists use his analysis ability to see who they are. One of them speaks to the receptionist and tells her that he heard that her shop was not doing these days, so, he brought some decent items for her. That man sees our protagonist. The receptionist screams with happiness saying, a set of martial armor. He says he went through a lot of trouble to get it. Then she says it has 560 mana. It must be quite expensive. Our protagonist thinks that's a fake. The hunters demanded only 3 big notes. The receptionist says you want 300 million. She thinks a little then says wait a minute, I will get from my safe. Our protagonist stopped her and says that's fake. You must not buy it. Once the hunter grabs him and asks him, can you prove what you just said? Our protagonist uses his God's crushing forefinger on the item. One of the hunters attacked our protagonist. But his boss stops him. Boss of the 3 hunter bows in front of our protagonist and says we apologize, high-ranking hunter. If it's fine with you we'd like to leave right away. Our protagonist says okay. 3 hunters leave the store. Receptionist says thanks to our protagonist. And says you must be hermit. Hermits are awakened people who live a normal life without working as a hunter. The receptionist asks him that he was here to sell something. Our protagonist shows the items to the receptionist and she says, it has only 12 mana. Even if we're to give you more money it's still a D-class item. Receptionist says sorry and return the item. Then a message popped up saying, "It'd be great if you give this item to Seong Miri who is nearby." While hiding she says item trading. To heal that fast from that state, is this the effect of the highest level potion? He's barely a G-class hunter. How did he get his hands on the highest level potion? Like I thought he could be a high level hunter. To find out my identity and heal that fast. He might really be able to help me pass my limits. Wait. This is totally stalking again. If my sister hears about this, I don't know what kind of words she'll throw at me. Then our protagonist appears behind her, says Seong Miri. "Oh good, I have something to give you." Then we see a lightning strike hits a building's rooftop. A professor says 1000 MP, it is high even among our ranks. Seong Miri thinks that the ring increased my power. We see flashback in which our protagonist is giving her the ring. She thinks, to give an incredible item like this like it was nothing. A man claps and says incredible. Her sister is also standing there. Her sister says that, "Don't get ahead of yourself, Seong Miri, you're still only a rank." Then her sister says, "If you mess around about revenge, be warned my hands will come for you." Seong Miri thinks, "Sorry sister, I can't. If that person can help me surpass my limits, revenge won't be a dream anymore." We see our protagonist is trying to sleep, but his blind god's eye ability gets activated. He sees that someone is ordering General Kamikiri, take Jim's edict. With 5 million troops, Jim commands, take down the monster held by the savage black tribe, that massacred 100,000 troops of Hibiscus and Kim. 4th Blade Kamikiri of the 10 Blade of the Emperor, we will follow your command. Our protagonist wakes up screaming. He thinks, a dream. Phew, thank goodness. Wait, based on what happened until now, that definitely wasn't just a dream. I almost got killed by 100,000 of them. But 50 times that. Just what do I do? His notification rings. He says, who is it at this hour? Who's messing around this time? It is the Soundless Nightmare. It says, do you need power? Our protagonist replies, who are you? Soundless Nightmare says, immature and feeble god. First sacrifice 100 humans of your kind. Especially the same blood as yours, if you do so. Then our protagonist angrily blocks the Soundless Nightmare. His blind god's eye, inherent authority gets activated. General Kamikiri appears on the screen and says, Savage Tribe's monster, I General Kamikiri, will sever your neck and then offer your head to the great emperor. Our protagonist says, that's what I saw in my dream. A timer appears, 71 hours, 32 minutes and 21 seconds. He says around 4 days left. He sees on his phone that, Satan 101 black ants are also shaking in fear. He says I'll have to prepare once again this time. He tries to analyze himself in the mirror but it doesn't work. He says it worked so well on its own on other people. It worked. His analysis ability says, Uilson has successfully been analyzed. Specialities, irrational and a loser. He says damn power. Then he bought what he needed from the god's store. He sees a great ability, evil god's authority Gehenna's flame, low-class god. Price 2 million god coins. He buys it and says only the name was cool. This is basically just a lighter. It advertised the effect was great if used with God's condemning middle finger. I got scammed again. I should have trashed it then. His phone rings again. He says now what? His director angrily says it's been over a week. Our protagonist says I'm sorry, I've been undergoing a lot of accidents recently. His director says I'll be believing in you. Popkas. Our protagonist screams. And says, I need the popkas. A message popped up saying God Maker's assimilation rate heavily increases 5% to 10%. Uilson's inherent authority has been strengthened. Then we see our protagonist sleeping in front of his laptop. He wakes up and says, it's all done. How to send it to my supervisor. After that we see that Seong Miri has bought a cake for our protagonist. And she is going to his home. She thinks she needs to make a good first impression to ask a favor. We see she is standing in front of our protagonist's door. He is sleeping and she is about to ring his doorbell. She rings the doorbell but no one answered. She thinks that, is he not home? She opens the door and looks inside but he is not in his room. Then we see that our protagonist is tied to a chair in a warehouse. One of the kidnappers say, "Wow. How is he sleeping in this kind of situation?" The kidnappers are the same hunter who were trying to scam the item shop owner. He wakes up and says, "A kidnapping." He thinks, where the hell am I? What's going on here? Have I really been kidnapped? Leaders of the kidnappers say, "It is really impressive that you can sleep in this kind of situation." Our protagonist uses his analysis ability and recognizes them from before. Kidnapper says, "I see you remember now, it's nice to meet you, Ilson." Our protagonist says, "What do you want?" Kidnappers say that they need compensation for the damages done last time. "Fortunately for you, we accept bank transfers too." Our protagonist says, "What should I do? I don't have my phone with me." One of the kidnappers says, "We have it here." A message popped up on his phone saying evaluation complete. Calculating time until the army of 5 million troops led by General Kamikiri reach Uilson. Timer hits 0. Our protagonist screams and says, "Untie me. And throw that phone away." A swarm of ants come out of the phone, kills the one of the hunters. Kidnappers says, "What are these bugs? There are so many of them." Other one says, "You bastard, your ability is controlling bugs." Our protagonist thinks, do they just look like bugs to them? Kidnapper says, "It sure is unique. But I can just burn them all." Kidnapper burns them all and says to the protagonist, "Shall we calculate how much you owe us for killing my brother?" Then the kidnapper falls down. A stone hits his head. Ants ready the catapult to shoot other hunter. Other hunter tries to run while saying, "Help me." He tried to open the door but he was not able to. Our protagonist thinks, is it the same situation as before when I was trapped in my apartment? He thinks that even the humongous flame couldn't destroy this army. Will I be able to make it out of here alive? If I'd know these guys were so strong. No, in the first place, if it wasn't for that goddamned game. One of the ants says, "Evil god, your subordinates are all dead." He thinks he is done for, this is how he is gonna die. Ant says that I'll kill you right away and turn you into snack for his majesty. Then a message popped up on his phone saying, activating small miracles effect. A lightning strike hits the ants. Ants say that how dare you attack his majesty's army. Reveal yourself, hidden subordinate of the evil god. It's Seong Miri. She asks, "Are you alright, mister? You Ilson." Then she hits Ants with blasphemous. And Ant says, "How dare you attack the great emperor's army? You are not even using your own hands. And, to have the power to call a follower this strong. That evil god is the evil of all evils that can lay waste to the empire and vie for the throne. I, Kamikiri, will die here today, but I'll take one of your followers to the grave." Seong Miri thinks, so many insects. General, you must seek shelter. The thousand blade that tears all asunder. Your servant beg you. Pass down your incredible authority to me. A god replies saying, "One that wants to stain my precious blade with blood. Did you prepare a sacrifice?" The general says, "I will give the heads of all my soldiers as tribute." God says, "So be it. General, you have to retreat." Then he cuts down the heads of his army. Our protagonist thinks, did he just kill his own men? Then he analyzed the ant general. Analysis window says, General of the Empire is aiming for Seong Miri's neck with the thousand blade. Follower of the evil god. Our protagonist says, who does it say he's aiming for? The general says, that disrespectful towards the great emperor. You shall pay with your life. Seong Miri says, so fast, lightning storm. The general Kamikiri cut down the lightning storm and cut Seong Miri's neck. We see that Seong Miri is laying dead in front of our protagonist. The general Kamikiri says that only your life can pay the price for disrespecting the emperor. Evil god of the black tribe. You will also have to pay with your measly life. Then a message popped up in front of our protagonist saying, "Unknown's authority with soundless nightmare present it has seen ahead of the mortal fate." Our protagonist gets angry and says, "Damn it." Another message popped up saying this is a nightmare that has yet to pass. But it is also a fate that will happen soon. The General Kamikiri says now I will send you to your followers as well. Another message popped up saying, "You Ilshan. You are a being that can change mortal fate." Our protagonist says that, "Those thankful people that saved me 3 times." Another message popped up saying, "Will you change fate with God's authority?" Upon hitting yes, 100,000 God coins will be consumed. He says yes. A message popped up saying traversing time with God's authority. Fate is being altered. Then time reversed and Seong Miri came back to life and she thinks that insect it feels different. It's dangerous. Changing Seong Miri's fate. Our protagonist grabs her and pulls her back. We see our protagonist is standing angry in front of the General Ant. Seong Miri says, "I knew this man." He asks her, "Are you alright?" Lightning Empress. The General says, "Die, you puny evil god." He says, "Annoying insect." God's condemning middle finger. Then the warehouse exploded. The General Kamikiri dies with flames. Then we see our protagonist and Seong Miri are both fine. After that we see that our protagonist is holding a small knife. He reads the description of the knife. "The one who will be my master." He says hot. We see the Seong Miri says, "Please leave it to me, master." Our protagonist says, hello." We see that our protagonist is holding the knife and where would I use this? Seong Miri says, "You're a hermit, right? I was just wondering." Our protagonist thinks she is misunderstanding something here. After that we see that Seong Miri is asking our protagonist, "Please make me stronger. I'll do anything I can. I know it won't be easy but please accept me." Our protagonist thinks I have to finish my novel fast, oh boy. He asks, "Lightning Empress?" She replies saying, "Yes, master, please call me Miri. I never said I'd be your master. Anyways, how long do you plan to stay here?" She says, "Until you teach me." He says, "No, I'm really an average person, I'm only G class anyways." She says, "But you gave me this ring that made me so much stronger." Our protagonist says, "I'm happy it helped you, but I just picked that up." Seong Miri says, "I understand your intentions but still. Please at least give me a chance to make up for my mistake." Then she says, "There we go. Now it looks like a living space." Our protagonist asks her, "You worked hard, so shall we order something?" She says, "Of course. Black bean noodles. Oh, it's an emergency alert. Master, we will have to save the black bean noodles back to next time." Our protagonist gives her the blessing of the growing god potion. She excitedly asks, "How did you do that?" "It was just like Hunter Kong Wu." Our protagonist says, "I don't know who that is but it'll help you if you drink it." She says that, "Thank you master. I'll treasure it with every sip." Then he says, "It's just one shot, it's not even that much." After that she leaves saying, "I'll see you later then." He says, "I guess I'll have to eat alone." Then we see that our protagonist is sitting in the restaurant and as soon as his food arrives, a breaking news appears on the TV saying that an S-rank monster has appeared from the gate. Thankfully a hunter arrived at the scene. But buying time for the citizens to flee seems the most she can do. The hunter who is fighting the S-class monster is Lightning Empress. As the most would think that she'd be no match for an S-class monster, the Hunter Association has been asked to send reinforcements. We'll show you the scene live on camera. Our protagonist says, "Isn't it dangerous? It's an S-class." Then scene switches to Seong Miri fighting the S-class monster and helping civilians to escape. Then she thinks, it'd be an S-class monster. Will I be able to face it alone? More than that, if my sister finds out. Focus Seong Miri, don't get sidetracked now. She hits the monster with her strongest attack. A dust cloud covers the monster and everyone thinks that she has defeated the monster. She thinks that she has done it, but a monster attack hits her. She fell down and thought, so I really didn't have enough power. She sees the potion that the protagonist gave her, she drinks it and gets so much stronger that her lightning turns blue and yellow combined. And she is ready to fight the monster again. After that she hits the monster with a really big lightning storm. Our protagonist is shocked to see how strong she is and who's teaching who. After she defeated the monster, the news reports asked her, you defeated a giant S-class monster so quickly after being promoted. How do you feel? She says happily that, Master, did you see, I did it. It's all thanks to the potion you gave me. You are the bestest ever. Our protagonist watched the video on his phone and said, the views are already at 2 million. She is eating at our protagonist's house. He says, shouldn't you be getting home soon? Your family will be worried. She says that there is no one like that to worry about me. Our protagonist says that, know why there are parents out there who wouldn't worry about such a pretty daughter. She says they are both dead. In the Nether Dragon incident. He says Nether Dragon. Entire world had come together to barely defeated it. It was a formidable terror that took millions of lives. After that he says, damn my mouth. Yahweh to go you Ilshan with your big mouth. He says you used too much energy, wanna eat this one too? She says of course. Then a message popped up on his phone saying, you've satisfied the target favorability and trust value. If the target says the next key phrase, you can activate faith. Faith activation key phrase, I trust you Ilshan Nim. He thinks that is this some visual novel game. Wait, faith activation, would it be like that time with the Saintess where I got too many god coins? I don't know when another ant army ambush will happen. And the more god coins the better. He says to Miri, I have a favor to ask of you. She says ask me anything, I'll do anything. He says can you just repeat what is say? She says yes, what is it? He asks her to say, I trust you Ilshan Nim. Then he gets on his knees and says that must be too hard, right? Is said. Something weird. After that she says I trust you Ilshan. A message popped up saying you've succeeded in forming faith. Congratulations, Seong Miri is your first follower on Earth. Current followers 1102. He says what about the coins? Then a new message popped up saying a new skill shearing menu have been created. Then a small portal opened up behind Seong Miri. Some ants came out of the portal. Leader of ants says, oh that person is the evil god of Black Tribe. To promise such an arrogant man a godly position no matter how low the position may be. His Majesty has truly made a great decision. His Majesty had said that evil god will be of grave importance in the Great War. Well then let's let that evil god know of His Majesty's generosity. Then our protagonist thinks that, I can use lightning storm whenever I want. I'll fall for it this time. Skill sharing Seong Miri. He can use lightning storm but it gets out of control. And hit the ants that come out of the portal. They all get burned and die while saying, that evil god's powers, how? Seong Miri is surprised to see him use her ability. Seong Miri says that, Master you can use lightning too. So cool. He says, that's not the important thing here. The repair fee. Then we see that the Ant Emperor is angry to find out about what happened to his delegation. The Emperor orders to bring me head of that foolish evil god. Then ants say, with the honor of the divine throne that the Empire and I serve at stake. We shall obey His Majesty's command, the great half-god and ruler of the Empire. After that we see that Seong Miri is running in circles. He says that, she can run that fast without using any of her abilities, a high-class hunter sure is amazing. She says should I do more laps? Are you already done with 100 laps? She says yes. He asks her to drink the potion and take a break before continuing. He thought it was just a Red Bull to me but it works on Miri. It sounds like nonsense but I accepted her as a disciple, so I gotta do something for her. All that I can do is give her this potion. She asks him what should I do next. He replied how about squats? She said okay. He thinks, wait, can't I figure out how she should train if I use blind God's eye to evaluate her abilities? Then he uses his ability on her. A message popped up saying activating blind God's eye's inherent ability. Reaching the opponent's state of mind. He sees a dark place in her mind. And says, where is this? Then a huge yellow lightning tiger tied with a bunch of chains. Our protagonist is standing in front of a huge yellow lightning tiger in Seon Miri's mind. He used his analysis ability on the tiger. Analysis window says, Seon Miri's true nature rank S has been sealed for 10 years. Specialities, tied by an SS rank chain. He thinks, Miri was originally an SS rank, and she momentarily got unsealed by God's crushing forefinger. That means, all her power will be unlocked if that chain gets cut. Then he lift his finger to cut the chains. After that we see that Miri is saying, Teacher, thank you for today, stay safe. He says drink the potion before you sleep. She runs away leaving a dust cloud behind. He thinks she's already on that level. Just how much stronger will she get, when the chains get cut? Anyway. Then we see he is using God's crushing forefinger. To cut the chains. He says, no, if only this much gets cut at once, when will I cut it all? He thinks, just who chained her? She wouldn't chain herself. Well, I'll find out eventually. After that see that someone is following our protagonist and our protagonist have no idea about it. When he reaches home, he says, her chains aren't my problem right now. My house. Then his phone started ringing. He says, what now? A message popped up saying, Soundless Nightmare looks at you sorrowfully. He thinks that, I blocked him last time, so what is it now? So annoying. Another message popped up saying, the thousand blade that cuts all, looks at you with resentment. He thinks, this guy is, that blade owner. After that, the thousand blade that cuts all, shouts that it isn't a mere blade owner, but a god blade that cuts even gods. Our protagonist says, so what? Wait, that's that, but these guys can read my thoughts. Now I have too damn stalker. I was already getting annoyed to death. Then Soundless Nightmare, requests for you to unlock it. The thousand blade that cuts all requests for you to return its god sword. He angrily says, stop it, I almost died getting that god blade or whatever. The thousand blade that cuts all, offer to give an estimated amount of 2.2 million god coins that it received from its army as tribute in exchange for the god blade. Our protagonist thinks what? When did you steal that? No you. Making offers with money you stole. Soundless Nightmare, laughs as if you are cute and signals for you to give the blade to it instead. It offers 10 million coins. He thinks, 10 million. With that much, I can get a good low-rank authority or item. As well as buy a bunch of potions for Miri. The Thousand Blade, is nervous at Soundless Nightmare's betting offer. Soundless Nightmare, laughs, calling it broke. The Thousand Blade, sheds a tear and says that it will offer its authority in exchange. Our protagonist thinks, authority? What kind? The Thousand Blade, offers its unique authority, Ultra Blade. Our protagonist says, oh. Ultra Blade. It sounds cool. The Thousand Blade, appeals that, no one would dare face you if you have its authority. Our protagonist says, a blade like this is something all men fantasize about. Soundless Nightmare laughs and tells you to take its authority, Rose that blooms at night. It appeals that, with its power, you don't even have to sweat and will still easily be able to surpass your opponent. Our protagonist's eyes glows and he says, who wants to offer more? The two messages popped up on his phone saying, you have received, Ultra Blade, 2.2 million god coins, and 3 uses of Thousand Blades treasure, from Thousand Blade that cuts all. You have received, Rose that blooms at night, from Soundless Nightmare. Our protagonist says, since I can only use Thousand Blades treasure 3 times, I'll have to save it. Ultra Blade, Rose that blooms at night. What are these? Should I try using them? He says, authority, Rose that blooms at night. Why isn't it working? Then a message popped up saying, Rose that blooms at night activates when the use is asleep. Our protagonist with angry face, says that if it activates when I'm asleep, how will I know what it does? My fault for trusting a stalker, damn. Now next authority, Ultra Blade. He gets really angry and says, you trashy scammers. Nothing works. He says, do you think I'm a pushover? A message popped up saying Ultra Blade is activating. He started drooling and thinks, I feel weird. Why am I like this? Then he make a creepy face and says, want to cut? The knife appears in his hand. He thinks, why am I like this? After that we see, he is running the streets while saying I'll cut everything. Then someone says I'll be heading out first. A woman say, let's wrap up and leave too. Other one says that, there's still vegetables left to cut. She say, we have him. Then we see our protagonist is, cutting vegetable with tears in his eyes. He gets home and says, I'm going to die. He puts the knife in a drawer and says, Ultra Blade or whatever, and this knife, it's really dangerous. Controlling people on its own. Then he lay down on his bed and says, I thought something bad was going to happen. I'll never touch it again. After that we see that, an ant army is on standby. The leader of Ant's army, asks one of his subordinate, is the evil asleep? He says, yes, Salju. He is definitely asleep. Leader of the Ant's army says, alright, the honor of killing him will be ours. Then her subordinate says, yes, and thinks, today, on the seat of the best of the 10 blades, will be me instead of that gloomy spider. Leader of the Ant's army says, let's go. After that our protagonist is asleep, then a rose grow from his belly. Ant army is shocked to see that. Then a message popped up saying, the conditions for Soundless Nightmare's unique authority, rose that blooms at night, have been met. The ant army started to attack. After that Rose opens up his mouth and eats the ants. The leader of the ants army gets scared and say, that's. Then a message popped up saying, pathetic creatures. Tremble in fear. Your nightmares will soon bloom. The nightmare flower. Leader of ants army thinks, that's definitely the nightmare flower. Yes, I read about it in our tribe's old documents. One of the soldier asks her, Salju, what should we do? She thinks, the terrible god that devoured 90% of the great continent's population 3,000 years ago. The disciple of the soundless nightmare, the nightmare flower. Then she says, we shall not fear. The events of today will go down in the history of our time for eons to come. She runs towards our protagonist to attack. Her soldiers say, we will follow Salju. She says, approach the main body by averting the movement of the branches. She and her soldiers reaches near our protagonist. The nightmare follower eats her soldiers. She says, shit, then some branches of the nightmare follower attacks her. She says, I may not be able to kill the evil god, but I will take the disciple of the terrible god, monster flower, as my companion to death. She throws her spear towards the follower. But nightmare follower absorbed it. She says, no way, it absorbed my ultimate attack in one gulp. This is impossible. Then we a shadow on our protagonist's face, in which nightmare follower eats her. After that our protagonist wakes up in the morning saying, why does my stomach feel so full? His phone notification rings. He says, fine, what is it now? A message window said that, the Holy Maiden and her 101 followers desperately wish to be rescued by you, Ilshin. He says, what's up with you? Are you not feeling well? Wait, then he uses his blind god's eye ability. Which said, the Holy Maiden and her 101 followers special characteristic, addicted to the killer bee tribe's venom. He say, how in the world did you get addicted to bee venom? Did you invade their honeycomb because you wanted honey or something? What the hell are you supposed to give to ants who are addicted to venom? Don't die. Just wait a minute. A message popped up saying, because of the sincere heartfelt thoughts of Ilshin, the miracle menu is activated. Then a skill window opened up saying, one of the most important things to a god is a miracle for the believers. Depending of the miracle you may provide to your believers, they may worship or fear you more as their faith grows. An other window appears saying to perform the miracle of healing, your divine power and 100,000 god coins are required. Of course. I'm overflowing with coins. And if you need this divine power or whatever, just take it. 100,000 God coins are used. A message popped up saying, a portion of the fruit of the world tree, that was absorbed by Yu Ilshin is used as an ingredient for the miracle. The miracle is performed according to the will of Yu Ilshin. He says, are they going to be okay now? I just got up, why do I feel sleepy? He fells again. A message popped up saying, the God title Merciful Redeemer has been upgraded from E class to D class. Yu Ilshin's tendency has changed from Eva to neutral. Another message popped up saying, some of the good gods, including bountiful abundance, start to take notice. After that we see that, the saintess is coughing out blood and saying, please dear God take pity on our tribe. And give us a miracle I beg of you. Then a yellow rain started falling from the sky, healing everyone in the process. All the ants say the rain is washing away the venom. God Yu Ilshin has blessed us. Thank you, God. Then the saintess says, everyone. Yu Ilshin has saved us once again. Now, we must repay him with the unwavering faith of our tribe. Let's give him a tribute as a sign of our faith. All the black ants say yes. After that our protagonist wakes up saying, what time is it? Why am I feeling so tired? You're awake. Miri is sitting in his house. He sees her and says, why are you here, Miri? She says, you didn't show up for training, so I came here since I was worried. Sorry. Then we see a statue of Yu Ilshin on a shelf. She asks him, what is that thing over there that begs for my attention? He uses his analysis ability on the statue, which says, statue of Yu Ilshin, the black tribe has made a statue of Yu Ilshin with gratitude and fanaticism. Special characteristic, ugly. She says, it seems to look better the more I examine it. It's incredible, can I have it? He says, yes, if you'd like. He think you need to get your eyes checked, Miri. He sits on a box in front of his laptop to write the script. Then his phone rings, again what is it? He sees a sprout of the world tree. It has sprouted thanks to the miracle that was performed by Yu Ilshin, who had absorbed the fruit of the world tree. Special characteristic, it is sick. It may wilt soon. Time remaining until wilting, 24 hours, 30 minutes, 39 seconds. He says that, the sprout of the world tree is sick. Then I sold use the blessing of the growing God. What it has no effect. If it's the world tree, it must be the fruit that instantly healed my burn wounds that time. So if I manage to nurture and grow it, I will be able to sell the fruits. I'm sure there's something useful in the store. He founds an item called, the Tears of the Bountiful Abundance. But to buy this item he needs to complete a quest. If the quest does not get complete, the purchase cost will not be refunded. Then we see, he is picking up trash while thinking, I have to go to such an extent to save the world tree. He has to complete 100 good deeds. He already has completed 10 good deeds. Then he hears a sound saying, kid, what are you doing on my territory? He is an old man, he says, a newbie like you shouldn't step foot in this area. Our protagonist thinks, a homeless person. But I swear, I've seen this man, he says, I think we have a misunderstanding here. Our protagonist tries to give him some money to buy a warm meal. The old man get angry and says, you dare give alms to me, Choi Kangson. Our protagonist thinks, yes. I remembered. The S-class hunter who used to be a street cleaner. Choi Kangson. Choi Kangson says, I won't reject you goodwill. Then they airs a sound and say, a monster appeared. After that the old man says they're finally here. I knew his prediction would be right. Then our protagonist says that I'll be taking my leave now. Old man says, you're going too. Why don't you go with me then? He grabs our protagonist jumps. Our protagonist says that, no, wait sir. I think there's been a mistake. When our protagonist sees down, he gets so scared. After that old land on the ground and says, the miracle mentioned there was an 80% chance of a rift occurring, looks like he hasn't lost his touch. Our protagonist passed out falls to the ground. After that the old man says, kid. Are you passed out? I thought you were at least B class. Then a huge monster appears in front of the old man. He says, looks like we're having frog legs for dinner. The monster says that, is he the rumored young god? Perfect. It looks like I arrived before the other got here. If I manage to offer my master the kid, he'll be satisfied. Get out of the way, old human. Then old man says, seriously, you've been making an awful lot of noise. He runs towards the monster to punch him. With a mana fist. The monster says, get out of here, Gramps. That kid is mine. Then a message window appears, saying the owner of the ability detected danger. His nightmare flower ability gets activated. The nightmare flower eat the monster and old man. After that we see that our protagonist wakes up in the ant world. He says, where am I? He is standing behind the saintess. The saintess says, you're awake. Oh my great and charitable God. After that he is standing in the real world. He hears a sound saying, mother. Old man is laying down scared cover with the saliva of the nightmare follower. I got eaten by a big follower. Our protagonist cover his nose and says, that smell. Did you fall down into the sewers? A message popped up saying you have defeated the subordinate of the evil god and have brought peace to the world. Another message popped up saying you have exceeded quest requirements. As a reward, you have received the item Bountiful Abundance. The ability of Bountiful Abundance will activate curing the sick world tree sapling. He says, perfect. I'll be rich now, I can finally relax now. A message popped up saying, congratulations, you have successfully revived the world tree. You have refueled the revival of the black tribe. Then our protagonist says, however, what should I do with him? Should I just leave him? He calls an ambulance which took the old man with it. A message popped up saying, the more influence of your followers increases, the more powerful your divine power will become. Then a man says, how's things going with the hunters from the academy? Another man says, everything is ready as soon as Choi Gangsun leaves the hospital, we'll start the project right away. I'm sure Gangsun will be a good teacher for the Lightning Empress child. I'm expecting plenty from the best teacher and a talented pupil. Then we see at our protagonist's house there are two statues of himself. He says what part of that looks like me? Then a message of the saintess popped up saying, oh our great charitable God Yuilshan. He says you, read that ant from before. Then a message popped up saying due to the effect of the status your sympathy rate with Antrinia has increased by 105. Saintess says please save our pitiful tribe members. He says what is wrong with him? Then a message popped up saying these black tribe members are your devoted followers. Note, they were attacked by demonic beasts. He gets angry and says, how dare they, who decided to mess with my followers, led me to where the demonic beasts are. I'll deal with them with my own two hands. The saintess says, thank you for blessing us, our Lord Yuilshan. He says alright lead me. After a while he thinks, it's taking a long time for these ants to lead me. When they get there, he thinks what's all this now? He sees them and gets scared. A message popped up saying, summon cockroach beasts, these are demonic beasts that the demonic beast handler summoned from the demon realm. Note, they duplicate once every hour. Time left, 1 second. He screams and says they are all cockroaches. Then the saintess says, don't fret, everyone. Did you all forget? Remember that we, the black tribe, are blessed with the protection of the great Yuilshan. Then the saintess looked behind at Yuilshan, and sees that he is running away screaming. He is shocked to see him run away like that. Other ants says that, the god has betrayed us. It's over for us. The switch is to the red ant's emperor's castle, and emperor says, are you sure? Other red ant says that yes, my lord, I am confident. I'm sure you saw what the summoned demonic beasts have accomplished during the last battle. 4 days at most, I'll be sure to bring you the body of the false god. Then emperor says that, I'll be waiting. However, know that death awaits if you fail. Another red come in running saying, I have an urgent message. The emperor says who dares to make a scene? If it's not important, it'll be your head. Other red ant says the cockroach beast tamer's beasts have multiplied to millions. That evil and ruthless false god. Back in the forest we see that a big smoke cloud appear, it's insect killing gas. There are a lot cans of that gas in black and are standing to guard the cans. After that we see that our protagonist is back. He ran away before to find this gas. He thinks, I'm glad that I bought that bug spray for cases like this. A black ant says, there are still a couple left alive. Our protagonist says, you thought I'd miss you. After that we see that the saintess is standing in front of our protagonist with her head down. He asks, what's wrong? I defeated all the demonic beasts. Then she started crying loudly while saying, I doubted my faith in you, my God. I have no right to place my trust in you. Kill me, please kill me. He says there's no need for that. Just calm down. After that a message popped up saying you have satisfied requirements to earn a new inherent ability. Then a skill window shows up saying, you can obtain the inherent ability, the multiplying thumb of God, by paying 100 coins. Would you like to obtain the inherent ability? He says, this is a great deal for 100 coins, right? It's all or nothing. But a trial may come if you buy this ability. After that he says, these comments are still pretty weird though. Then he buys it, says, now then, why don't I take a look at what kind of ability it is? His phone notification rings. He says, what's this now? It's a message of the great manager who says, sir, we need to meet now. Then his manager is drunk and asks him to try some. Our protagonist says, alright. Then he drinks it, starts to stare at his manager. His manager asks him, why are you staring at me like that? He asks him, what's going on with your current rate of work? Our protagonist says, about that. Then his manager hit the table and starts shouting, please. Just put some effort into it. Please. Okay, just listen to me. Our protagonist says, can you please not scream anymore? What's wrong with you? Then a message popped on his phone saying, demonic beasts are attacking the black tribe again. Would you like to help the black tribe ants to defeat the demonic beasts? His manager hits him and says, are you playing a game right now? Then we see that Saint of Black Tribe is praying to you, Ilshan. We'll be sure to cleanse the world of all the demonic beasts. Then a message popped up saying, God of Destruction, inherent ability of ? Has killed the beast of disaster. 300 million God coins obtained. After that we see our protagonist is walking in the streets at night. Then another message popped up saying, the Tears of the Bountiful Abundance who supports you Ilshan has requested support. User you Ilshan may select any ability as a reward for reaching rank C of Merciful Redeemer. The cost of it will be paid for by Tears of the Bountiful Abundance. Then he says, well, then you're saying I can get an inherent ability for free. Right. If that's the case, the most expensive one. A message popped up saying, user you Ilshan has selected the following ability. Creation of Heaven and Earth. Transcendental Class. Category. Ability for only transcendental beings.